Hey yo, what's up guys, welcome to today's video. Today's video is gonna be regarding the Kha Zix build that I'm using in Season 11. So the video will be divided into two videos, a build for low elo and a build for high elo. And people are asking where is high and low elo. I would say that the low elo build will work the best from iron to diamond, and then the high elo build will be working from diamond, maybe masters, and up to challenger. So, in terms of smite item, you can go for either the red or the blue one. In most situations, I would say the red one is better because there's simply so much damage in pre-season, and the fact that you can negotiate or remove 20% of the damage is pretty strong. But if you are in a winning matchup, or if you're really far ahead and you don't really need the dueling power and you're straight up just winning and one-shotting people, then you can of course go for the blue smite instead. So today's video is going to be regarding the low elo build. So for low elo, in my opinion, I think that Duskblade is the best option in terms of mythic items, and I'll explain why. So in low elo, I think Q evolve is the best, simply because that people in low elo don't understand how isolation works. So they will often be isolated, not understanding that they will actually be taking twice the damage compared to if they're grouping up together or like standing close to like minions or towers or something like this. Therefore, I think Duskblade is the best. Duskblade is also not gonna be nerfed in the upcoming patch, so therefore Duskblade will stay the same. Prowler's Claw will get 580 buff in the next patch, but Prowler's Claw is really awkward to use because you're very heavily reliant on the fact that you want to use it at the start of your combo to deal the 15% increased damage to the target for the next 3 seconds. And even though it's getting a 580 buff, I do not like this item on Kha Zix because you're just too reliant on using one specific combo. Prowler's Claw would also only work with R-Evolve, which is a high elo playstyle. And then we have Eclipse, which is probably the second best option for low elo, but in high elo this is the best option, even though that this item has already been nerfed once and is getting an additional nerf in the next patch. I still believe that this is the best item for high elo, and it could be the replacement for Duskblade. I would say that Duskblade is the best for low elo, and then maybe Eclipse. If you really want to try it out, then you can try out Eclipse. But we're gonna go for Duskblade here. I have to go to the base. So with Duskblade, you get 5 ability haste for each legendary item that you complete. So what I like to do in low elo with Kha Zix is I like to go Q evolve. So let's get some levels here. And then go Q evolve. And then I like to stack up my ability haste. So this basically means that I'll be looking for as many items that fits into the enemy team comp that gives me ability haste. So you have multiple options when it comes to second item. If you're ahead, I suggest that you go for Umbrail Glaive. It's a fairly cheap item, gives you an earlier power spike, and it can help you flank more easily. Especially with like the amount of wards that's being like placed by supports, and because the game is so fast paced, I feel like Umbrail Glaive is pretty strong. So if you're ahead and you're snowballing, go for Umbrail Glaive. But you have other options as well. You can go for a black cleaver, gives you a ton of ability haste if you're playing against something that's stacking armor. You can even be going for a chempunk chainsword if the enemy team has a little healing. So let's say they have a Soraka, a Vladimir, a Nunu, something like that. You can just go Executioners, and then you can upgrade it into Chempunk Chainsword for even more ability haste. If you're playing against AP, you can go for a Hex Shrinker that you can then upgrade into Maw. And again, the more ability haste that you have, the stronger it is. Then when it comes to late game, I think that Seryldas Grudge is really strong, because it gives ability haste, but it's also slowing the enemies. So by then you'll have your W evolved by the time that you get this item. So let's get a few more levels here. So Your second valve will be W. You can do E second if you're really far ahead, like let's say you're 10 and 0, then you can do QE on Kha Zix, but mostly you want to do Q and W because W provides a lot of utility. You can help your team like kite, you can help you like chase, and basically win the team fights a lot easier. So yeah, so you can go for this, you can go for this, and you can go for this. And then you'll have your smite item already stacked up. Then when it comes to boots, we're still mostly going for either merc threads or plated steel caps or tab eyes as they were called last season. And depending on which one you want to go, basically depends on, do the enemy team have a lot of AP, do they have a lot of CC, then you go for mercs. Do the enemy team have a lot of auto attack based champions or a lot of AD, then you want to go the plated steel caps or the tab eyes as they were called. The reason why I can't buy them is because of runes that I'll also be explaining in a different video. In terms of, let's say that the enemy team has both AP and AD, they basically have like a good mixed damage variation. Then it really depends. You can also go Death Dance, by the way. Then it really depends what item you're going for. So usually what I would like to do is, let's say the enemy team has 2 AP, 2 AD, and then they have support. So what I would like to do is, if let's say I'm playing against a Tryndamere and an ADC. If I'm playing against 2 AD champions that are very auto attack based, then I would like to go for the plated steel caps because of the reduced incoming damage from attacks by 12%. So there's a difference between AD damage. There are AD champions like Kha Zix, for example, where the main damage is coming from his Q, and then there are AD champions like ADCs that mostly the damage comes from auto attacks. If that AD champion relies a lot on auto attacks, so like let's say 2 of them do, then I think it's worth going for tab eyes. And then for the AP, you would be buying a hex shrinker. That way you both have armor and reduced auto attack damage from enemy from the plated steel caps, and then you have the MR from hex shrinker that you then can upgrade into multiple mortius, and then you have both armor and MR. But let's say you're playing against a champion on, let's say you're playing against a set in mid lane, and then you're playing against a I don't know what they see, maybe a Samira. Those champions don't really auto attack that much, therefore the value of buying plated steel cap is not as good because you're only getting the 20 armor. The reduced incoming damage from attacks doesn't really benefit you that much. You'll only be a couple of auto attacks that you're going to be reducing. So what I would like to do instead is, let's say again they have 2 AP and then they have those 2 AD being set on Samira. Then what I would like to do is, if the enemy team has AP and their CC included, then I'd go for the merc threads. That will give me the tenacity and it will give me the MR. And then for armor, I would be going to Death Dance, which also gives me ability haste. And this basically removes all physical damage, or not all of it, but like 35% over will be ignored and will be taken as a bleed over 3 seconds. And if you kill them, it'll be gone. This bleed. That way you have the MR and tenacity from your mercs, and then you have the armor from Death Dance. That way you kind of have both things. But of course, if one team is mainly AP heavy or mainly AD heavy, you just go for merc threads or tab eyes, and then you can even stack either whatever you need, armor or MR, on top of the same type of boots. So let's say if you went for merc threads, you could stack merc threads with hex shrinker, or if they had a lot of AD, you could go plated steel caps stacked up on top of a Death Dance. So yeah, that is pretty much my build. There's no like best build for like 6 items, because most games that go to 6 items basically depend on how the game is going, who is fed on the enemy team, what type of enemy champions are fed on the enemy team. So I would say the core build is, if you're ahead, then Duskblade, Umbrail Glaive, into either a Death Dance or Hex Shrinker, depending on if they have armor AD. Same thing goes for the boots, either mercs or tab eyes. And then for late game items, I think a really good late game item is Seryldas Grudge. I think this is really, really good for late game when the enemy team has a bunch of armor. I really think that this is like great value item. But you can even go Black Cleaver if they have like some tankiness and you want to become like a little bit more tanky yourself. I've even seen a couple of players go Ravenous Hydra. I haven't personally tried Ravenous Hydra myself, but I do believe that it can work in some unique situations. So yeah, I don't think there's a best 6 item full build Kha Zix because every game will be different and every game you'll need different items, and it seems like the items are way more unique and diverse, which basically means that you have more options depending on how the game goes. So therefore, I think you should be thinking more about what items that you're buying once you reach your 4th, 5th, and 6th item, rather than just like buying the same build over and over again, because it might not be the best build or the best 4th, 5th, and 6th item that you're buying against the enemy team every single game. So compared to last season, I think last season it was a little bit more easy to just figure out the best build and then stick to that build every single game, and then maybe only swapping 1 or 2 items. Whereas in Season 11, I think there are a lot of strong builds, and it's only like 1 or 2, maybe 3 items that are core for Kha Zix. And then again, the 4th, 5th, and 6th item is usually like a counter item that is specifically needed to counter the enemy team that one game. And then next game, your 4th, 5th, and 6th item will most likely not be the same again, unless you're playing against a similar team comp. So yeah, that is pretty much my build for Kha Zix. So if you have any questions regarding my build or any items that you want my opinion on for Kha Zix, let me know in the description down below, or ask me on Twitch over at twitch.tv/Kami_Kha Zix. If I'm live, just ask me on stream and then you'll get the answer immediately. Next video will be the high elo build for Kha Zix, and then I'm also going to be explaining my runes during preseason, and then I'll be becoming a Graves setup YouTube guide as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know, feel free to ask. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to leave a like. If you want to see more content, then remember to subscribe and put notifications on. Otherwise, I hope to see you guys on my next live stream or in my next YouTube video. So thank you so much for watching.